Greetings, friends and family. Welcome to day, I think, 7 or 8 of my series. Weight is trending down. That is a great thing. We're so happy to see that. I hope if you guys happen to be following along that it's doing the same thing for you. Now, today, I'm actually headed to Gold's Glen Burnie, not headed to Gold's Dundalk. That's my normal gym. But I just kind of wanted to check out Gold's Glen Burnie, see what it's like. You know, I love my Golds, but sometimes it's good to just, get a change in scenery. But today, I will not have any workout footage for you. My wife is not with me. I don't have any means to set up a camera, and I don't really want to either. As I said, I think unless there's a specific way, their tripods are okay, and then I'm okay with tripods in the gym, but a lot of people don't do that, and it just gets kind of annoying. But that being said, I figured today's topic is a good topic that goes along with my fat loss journey, and it is why you have not been able to keep your weight off. Now, in my introduction video, I said that I've been all over the fitness spectrum. I've been obese, I've been skinny, I've been, something that I would classify as approaching fit, especially like during my army days. I've been everywhere. And I know a lot of you have been there too, where you maybe were once fit, or you've lost the weight and now it's back, things like that. And I've found a lot of commonality, between myself and people who do that. And there are a few things that I want to address. And probably, we're going to go from least important to most important. So the first thing is you're not loving your training. Now, I've had so many people tell me, I don't love what I do. Going to the gym is a chore. Okay, well, why is it a chore? Why don't you love going to the gym? You should. You should. And that's not to say that you should love weight training. That's not to say that you should love cardio. That's not to say that you should love anything specific. But it is to say that you should love your training. Your training should be something that you look forward to. For me, I love going in there and hitting the weights. It's one of my favorite things in life. I look forward to it every day. And on my days off from the gym, they tend to be worse days than the days that I actually know that I'm going to the gym. So my question is, why don't you love your training? If it's weight training, why don't you love that? Does it? You're like, oh, well, it hurts. It hurts. Well, why does it hurt? What does it, sorry, there were people beeping. Why is it hurting? Are you talking about muscular burn? Because that's what you want, and I wouldn't classify that as real pain. That's just kind of discomfort. And it's a good kind of discomfort because you're growing. But if you're experiencing real pain, then you're either A, lifting with bad form, or B, lifting too much weight. And honestly, A usually stems from B. So, something that you have to get used to doing is you need to leave your ego at the door. Most of you, I would say, unless you're trying to be like a power lifter, even if you're trying to be a bodybuilder, obviously I told you I have aspirations to step on stage in a couple years. That's not something that most people have. But even if you're a bodybuilder, you're not going in the gym to prove that you're the strongest person. You're in there to create a great physique. And for most people, it's the same idea. Okay, and even on a much smaller degree, you're in there to create a physique that you're happy with. So why is it that you're, trying to stroke your own ego? Why are you trying to stroke your own ego and say that, oh, you're strong? The thing is that I understand that a lot of you maybe used to lift weights in high school or whatever, and you want to get back to doing the weights that you were doing in high school. But, I have to tell you, you're not 16 anymore. You're not young. You're not as strong as you used to be. And it's the principle that, this is how people die from like overdoses and stuff, is that they try to get back to doing exactly what they were doing before, and instead, they end up hurting themselves. Thankfully in the gym, you're not going to die by doing it, but you're going to end up hurting yourself, usually pretty badly. So, that's one component. You have to leave your ego at the door. You can't get in there and, you know, hurt yourself, because then you're going to hate your training. But that's not even to say that you should love weight training. Maybe you don't. Maybe you're just not the person who loves weight training. What else have you tried? Tennis? Have you tried tennis? Have you tried swimming? Have you tried any of these, you know, even just walking? Have you tried anything like that? You know, fitness is fun. It's supposed to be fun. Why aren't you enjoying it? So, you know, that's the first component. The second component is that you're stuck in an obese mindset. What do I mean by that? Well, to me, obesity is more than just a physical thing. It's a mental thing. And a lot of people get stuck in this obese mindset where they just have never changed their relationship to food. You know, for me, I don't think of food as this delicious thing that, you know, I can't wait to eat anymore. I think of it as a necessity, more of like a bodily function, than I think of it as, you know, like a social activity where we're all, you know, having fun, trying to eat things that we enjoy. Of course, I make my food enjoyable. You know, if I don't enjoy it, it's not going to sit as well in my stomach, but I'm not eating unhealthy things. You know, sometimes I'll put some zero sugar sweetener on things, sometimes, you know, spices, whatever, but, you know, those are things that you should be using. Those are things that you absolutely should be using to enhance the flavor of your food. But that doesn't mean that, you know, you're eating junk. It just means that you're enjoying what you eat a little bit more. And there's nothing wrong with that. But you still think of food in a specific way where you're like, well, I can't, you know, I can't wait till the weekend where I can have my ice cream, or I can't wait till the weekend where I can have my burgers or my cookies or pizza, whatever. I don't think about that stuff anymore, because I was able to change my mentality from focusing on the taste of the food to how the food makes me feel. If you crush an entire pizza in one sitting, you're not going to feel very good. Mentally, you might feel okay, but physically, you're going to feel like garbage. And, you know, compare that to how you feel after you eat like a chicken and rice meal. You're going to feel so much better with chicken and rice, or, you know, oatmeal, vegetables, things like that, than you would ever feel eating a pizza. And, you know, every diet has room for more, I guess I would say, bad foods. Every diet has room for things that might be considered to be a little more unhealthy. But you have to stop thinking about it as that you're punishing yourself. This is a journey, and you need to enjoy your journey. You know, food is fuel. It's not some amusement park ride. You have to free yourself of the notion that everything that you eat is supposed to taste amazing. It can taste good. I hope it does. You know, I hope you're seasoning your chicken. I hope that you're finding ways to enhance the flavor of your food without adding a ton of calories. I want that, you know, but you're constantly in this mindset of thinking food is, you know, you just have to be good, then you can reward yourself. It's like a reward system, and you're going to rebound every time. And that gets to my next point, and it's that you're not eating enough. Now that seems counterintuitive, but when I've been on this cut for a little bit now, and I haven't really felt hungry. And why haven't I felt hungry? Well, I'm eating 4 or 5 times a day, and I'm in a calorie deficit, but I'm eating 4 or 5 times a day. I'm eating whole foods, and I'm eating things with lots of fiber, you know, vegetables, things like that. Most of you are doing these crash diets. You know, I can't tell you how many times I've heard, well, you know, I have a glass of milk in the morning, and then, you know, I don't eat lunch, and then I eat dinner. Well, you know, you're depriving your body, and you can eventually lose a bunch of weight that way, and it feels good because the scale is going down quickly. And I have to tell you, I've been there. I've done that where, you know, I've crash dieted. Matter of fact, the most recent crash diet I did was a few years ago, where I drank 1 Ensure for breakfast, 1 Ensure for lunch, and then for dinner I would have 2 beef patties and a can of green beans. And it felt good to see the weight just go whoosh. But think of it like an airplane. Okay, think of your fitness journey like an airplane. You want a nice soft landing, where you can, you know, continue on the path that you're on. Whereas when you cut your calories so drastically, you're going to just nosedive, and then you're going to put the weight back on anyway. You know, and it's kind of like, well, I'm going on a diet. Well, you're going on a diet. That means you have to come off of a diet. I would much prefer you guys to start thinking, well, I'm changing my diet. I'm changing my habits. This is what I eat now. This food is not part of my program at the moment. You know, this food is part of my program at the moment. You know, when you crash diet, you end up, and a big part of it is that you end up crashing your hormones too. Now, if you're enhanced, then it's not as big of a consideration, but it's still a consideration, because at the end of the day, if you're on like oral medications like me, that only goes so far. So those are some of the biggest reasons that I see in fitness why people are unable to keep the weight off. They can do great at losing the weight, then they just can't keep it off. And they're just stuck in this constant cycle of, oh, I'm gaining weight, or now I'm losing weight, you know. And yes, I gained a lot of the weight that I ended up losing back, but for me, I did that deliberately. I did that to put on muscle. And I ended up gaining some fat, yes, but I don't really care that much about that, because I know at the end of the day, I'm going to lose the fat off too. The fat's going to come back off, and I'm going to look a lot better. You know, people are so afraid of gaining fat, and then they just start, at the end of the day, they just start to binge. Can't do that. You know, that's not something that you should be doing. And those are absolutely the most common mistakes that I see people make in fitness and bodybuilding, or whatever their goals are. You know, 1,500 calories is only enough if you're like a girl, basically, and even then, like a smaller girl. You know, you need to be eating maybe 500 to 750 calories in a deficit. If you're obese, you can eat a little bit more. You can. Or you can eat, excuse me, scratch that. You can eat a little bit less. Because when you get to a certain point, especially if you're like class 2 or 3 obese, the fat can come off quicker because you have a lot more stored energy and you're not going to burn as much muscle. When you're just a little overweight, you know, maybe you can't see your abs yet, then the cut has to be slow, guys. People want it to be so fast. They want results overnight, but it's like I said in my other video, you didn't do this to yourself overnight. You did this over the course of a couple years. So free yourself of the notion that this is going to be a quick thing. This is a journey, and you need to learn how to enjoy your journey. Enjoy the healthy foods that you're eating. Enjoy your training. Don't starve yourself. You can get down to low body fat. You know, for men, you can get down to 15% body fat without ever feeling hungry if you're eating the right things. If you're eating a lot of fiber, a lot of vegetables, a lot of protein, you can get down to that low body fat and never feel hungry. Women, you know, it's a little different. It's more like 20 to 25%, but you can do the same thing. You can get down to that low body fat and still not be hungry. You know, there's so many things, and I promise you guys, if you've made the excuse, I promise you I've made it too. And sorry it's so dark, I'm in a tunnel right now, but if you've made the excuse, I promise you I have made it too. It's like, oh, my genetics, my family, you know, I can't lose that much weight. I can't, you know, I've made those excuses too, guys. I've been there. But I changed my mindset because I know that I can do it, and you can do it too, 100%. You can learn to love your training, whatever it may be. Maybe you like swimming, maybe you like tennis, maybe you don't like lifting weights. That's okay, you don't have to. You can like other things. You can find something that you love. Just like you can find healthy foods that you love. Maybe you don't like vegetables, okay? Well, have you tried vegetables, you know, cooked a certain way? Have you maybe considered fruits, eggs, things like that? Other areas where you can get all the nutrients that you need. So, you you know, that's just kind of what's been on my mind lately, is that people always make these excuses and they always ask questions. Well, how do I keep the weight off? I've lost all the weight. How do I keep it off? Because I just keep gaining it back. Well, you need to change your mindset. You may no longer be obese physically, but you're still obese up here. So anyway, that's about it. I'm gonna go and get some training in. I hope you guys do the same thing. I hope you guys enjoy your training today. It's gonna be an awesome day. Hope you enjoy your meals. Hope you enjoy, you know, just every aspect of life. Hopefully it's a beautiful day for you guys. I'm gonna get going. This has been Jake. Lovely talking to you. I'll see you in the next one.